Good evening. Chris, Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 here. Doing a little Hoops live stream. Hadn't done many of these lately, but it's about to be a recurring theme here. Blake, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We got season awards. We got mean tweets. We got NCAA tournament stuff. We got conference tournament stuff. What am I leaving out?
The fact that you still probably at least need to stall for at least a good 15 to 30 seconds while I work on some technical stuff here.
What graphics are you?
I'm not. I just have to. I'm the technical guy here, so I got to do a couple things that get us where we need to be. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. I'll leave it at that until I jump back in here in a second.
Well, and what we do is anytime we have a live stream that is a listener-centric show, we'll try to take your questions, address your comments, whatever. We'll talk about our all SEC teams if you want, why we picked what we picked. We'll talk about the bubble. I was doing a little bit of NCAA tournament comparisons right before we went on air. Didn't quite finish it, but my goodness, it's interesting. Blake, I think this bubble, it is really hard to separate a lot of these teams. And I'll tell you what, if you're watching the SEC tournament, you might need to be watching the Big Ten tournament too. And for that matter, maybe the ACC and the Mountain West tournaments. Because some of these teams, man, I mean, they're separated by about that much. And good luck to you as you figure out whose resume is better than somebody else's or try to read the committee's mind on that. It is fascinating. I've done these for many years. I don't know that I remember a log jam on the bubble. I mean, we say the bubble. The cutoff right now is about team number 45, and we don't know how many bids are going to be stolen or not stolen. But I mean, I'm telling you, Blake, from maybe 41 to 50 or so, it's pick your flavor, man. Because I don't know that there's a lot of stuff that definitively separates some of these teams the more that I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's the bubble. That's what we always say. It's the bubble for a reason. It's not because these teams have been perfect, and that's what you get is there are flaws to pick apart. And that's what I think you have here is you've got flaws with some of these teams. And so yeah, it's just figuring out who has less flaws, right? Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think I don't want to burst a bubble here already, but I don't know if you're on the same wavelength. And look, we have a lot of topics to get to, so we're not going to spend 15 minutes just on this one topic. But I think a team that has not played since Saturday, whose bubble is starting to go in the wrong direction in the SEC, for me at least, is Vanderbilt, because I'm starting to see some things happen around them. And I think there are some things going against them. I don't know that it's changed significantly, Chris, but I will tell you, having talked to someone I really, 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 really respect, in addition to Chris, in the bracketology field, we don't say Chris is a professional bracketologist. That's because he's above that. Like he's way above that professional title at this point.
I'm an amateur,
but anyway, I did talk to someone who's done this for years and years and years. Message this afternoon just to say, hey, what does it look like for the Vanderbilt Commodores? And there were a lot of things that I think, I don't know, like he's saying, they haven't played a game since Saturday, but basically I think things are trending in the wrong direction for them in terms of what they need to do to get in because of what's happening around them. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. So,
well, I presume he's probably referring to Penn State winning. I think Penn State may have moved ahead of Mississippi State with its win on Sunday. Penn State's got a pretty decent resume. That's one I've got ahead of Andy right now. I'm actually sorting through Arizona State and Vanderbilt as we speak. And I think I would put Vandy ahead of Arizona State. Predictive Computers, which is an average of KPI and strength of resume, has Vanderbilt at 46 on average, Arizona State at 52. That was the strength of resume computers. The predictive computers have Arizona State a little bit higher, but not a ton higher. Arizona State's lost 11 games. Vanderbilt's lost 13. Arizona State's better on the road, 7-6 versus 5-6. Arizona State's better in quads. And one place where Arizona State gets Vanderbilt is quad 3, where Vanderbilt's got 2 losses and State's got none. They both got a quad 4. And when I compare wins, Vanderbilt's got Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, Auburn, Pitt, Mississippi State. And Arizona State's got Arizona, Creighton, Michigan. That's all the teams that are sort of on the bubble. So Vanderbilt's got better top-end wins. Arizona State's got some better metrics somewhere else. I'm going to go ahead and, just for the sake of this, put Vanderbilt ahead of Arizona State. I think that's the right call. The problem for Vandy is it's still got some teams to climb. And again, even if there's no bid steals right now, I still think Vanderbilt is probably about the third team off, third or fourth.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So I just think it's, yeah, I mean, look, SC Scout guy brings up, I mean, just make a deep run and have other teams exit early. I mean, yeah, that's the formula. I think at this point, you just need to, I mean, they just got to keep winning. Again, I told you last time we talked, that was either Sunday or Saturday, whenever we did it. I said, look, as things stand right now, and I think that's what you have to keep in mind here. And this is like, I'm going to the Twitter verse here. It's easy to go on Twitter and say, well, someone said this and you were wrong, right? But remember in bracketology, this changes by the hour. So what I thought yesterday or Saturday is completely different now because the other games have been played. And again, for bubble teams, right? Like it changes by the hour. And so for Vanderbilt, there was a scenario I said, I think if they win 2, they're right there. But that scenario I don't think exists right now. And it's because games have been played. And so, it's going to be interesting. I really think it's going to be fascinating for them. Mississippi State, I think they're in an interesting situation. We talked about it. I really think it's going to be very curious to see what happens in that game against Florida. If they lose, man, I just don't know.
I think it's over for them if they lose.
I think so too. And I just think it's going to be tough. Now, again, you got to field 68 teams. So I mean, look, they're not off the bubble. Like they are firmly on the bubble right now. So I think they need that win. Again, the Alabama loss doesn't hurt you, but I think they got to get that win against Florida because I just don't know that they want to be in that scenario. So,
yeah, I said I gave some rankings. I've not dealt with Wisconsin and Rutgers yet. I haven't had the chance to do that today, and maybe when I do, those teams fall below Penn State, Mississippi State, Michigan. I don't know if they'd fall all the way below Vanderbilt. I've already gone blank. Who won? Let's see. Rutgers got beat yesterday and Wisconsin won. Is that how it went? But I think Wisconsin's win was Minnesota. Yeah, that's right. Northwestern beat Rutgers.
Let you handle that.
Yeah, and Wisconsin beat Minnesota for whatever that's worth.
Yeah. Well,
Vanderbilt no-hit Minnesota the same day, so I think Vanderbilt gets the edge there, right? Is that how it works?
I think they take baseball scores into account now in the net. I could be wrong.
Totally.
I think that's why the net is the way it is. I think they're accounting for margin of victory in baseball games as well.
They are.
Justin, our great super chats rolling on in. By the way, you can leave a super chat, hit that little heart button. If you give us a couple bucks, that just helps us do more videos for you guys. As always, we appreciate your support of our channel and our work. NIT, Justin, for your sake, I hope it's not. As again, we love it. Good for business for the SEC to get 9 teams in to the NCAA tournament, but I think I don't know. It's going to be a tough climb, I believe. So
I'm going to give you a detour. Can you pull up the Big Ten tournament bracket? Because I've not looked at that yet. I'm very interested to see
what are we doing here,
what that looks like.
Because we're an SEC show, and you're telling us to go to the Big Ten.
My
goodness, what have you done? Yeah, I'll pull it up. Give me a second. Let's see here. Big Ten is playing basketball in a tournament soon. And by the way, guys, you're sending in questions, comments. Just if you're watching for the first time, we're able to hold these. We're putting them in the queue here, so we'll get back to them shortly. But for now, we're gonna take a look at what Chris wants to look at. This is his show, and so we're gonna look at the Big Ten tournament bracket here for bubble reasons.
Okay, well, let's see. Wisconsin needs to beat Ohio State, obviously. Win over Iowa might do it. Let's see. Maryland, they're in. Illinois is in. Penn State, that Penn State-Illinois game is one I'd circle. I think Penn State needs that one. Boy, and if they get, it might need Northwestern too. Michigan-Rutgers could be an elimination game, Blake, honestly. I think if Michigan loses, Michigan's out anyway, and Rutgers, you might be able to say the same there. So there's some very interesting games in the Big Ten tournament that are going to very much affect what we see in the SEC.
Yeah, so keep an eye on it. You heard it here first. Yeah, there are some things to keep an eye on there with that. All right, we got to start going through some of
The
these
ACC
comments
in a minute. We'll get the questions and comments first, but I would like to take a look at the ACC and the Mountain West also, because those I think are going to be the two leagues that the SEC is going to have eyes on.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a few minutes. We need to play catch up here on some stuff. Chris, by the way, everyone, as you can see, Chris is basically looks like he's in outer space right now, but we will hopefully get that corrected here as we go along. But it's getting very blurry in Chris's world over there. It looks
I'm going to send you something.
It's a blur.
Can you share a text on the screen?
No, don't ask me to do that. We got questions and comments to get to. We need to get to those.
Okay.
I trust that it's good, whatever you're going to send me, but
no, I mean
anyway.
the bunkers being dug in our neighborhood right now.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, we'll figure out a way to get that maybe at the end. But Tennessee fans prepare for an annual round of 32 exit. I have no idea. I called Tennessee the wild card today on some radio thing I did. I have no idea what Tennessee's going to do. I think they're going to win their first game in the SEC tournament. I couldn't tell you what they're going to do the rest of the season after that. So, no idea. Not a clue, Sam. For your sake, hopefully they go far. Kyle asked about Des Moines Hodge. I know Missouri fans not happy with the SEC awards today.
We put him on our first team, so
we did not. Well, hold on. We put him on our defensive team. We didn't put him on our first team All SEC. We put him on our second team.
Oh, you know what? He was my first guy off. You know what it was? We put him on our second, and the league put him on its third. Correct?
No, Chris. They don't have a third. Just hold on. I got it for you. Just let me tell you what it is. Okay. We put him on our second. Okay. The league did not. They didn't put him on the all defensive team, and I think that's the big issue here. He was not on their list of 5. Now, so there's no confusion. We put Des Moines Hodge on our all defensive team. We put Des Moines Hodge on our second team All SEC. We picked 7 guys on each team up until the third team, which we had 8 because we had a tie. So I know when I put my awards out on Twitter, everybody came in with the memes about Des Moines Hodge and why I didn't pick him as my defensive player of the year because I picked Zakai Ziegler. Well, Des Moines Hodge was on our all defensive team. He was probably in our top 2 or 3 in terms of picking our defensive player of the year. So perhaps we gave him more credit than the SEC coaches did. But good defender. He's a good defender, and I think he belonged on the defensive team. That's my thoughts. But apparently the awards thought otherwise for everybody else's awards, not ours. So. Okay. We got a lot of comments here. Guys, I know you're leaving comments. We'll get to them eventually. Let me find them here. A&M, Chris. Let's get through this. Let's start sprinting through some of these. A&M is a 5 seed. How far could they climb?
Do you remember what I said yesterday?
I don't. That was 24 hours ago.
I had A&M as the last. And this is proof of my theory. I think everybody lags a day or two. I had A&M as the last 5 seed when I did mine yesterday, and I think everybody else had A&M on the 7 line. So I can buy that totally.
All right. You heard it here first. So maybe we're the only ones believing that. Yeah, I mean, Hodge had a lot of steals. There's no denying it. I mean, I can't explain it. Again, we made our vote. We know what we put. I can't tell you why everybody else put what they put. So I know we did our...
There's one thing that we need to discuss here. Do you have Ken Palm pulled up?
No.
Where did Missouri finish in adjusted defensive efficiency?
I know they weren't good.
I think we judge defense a lot on stats, and I think that's why Liam Robbins got Defensive Player of the Year. But Vanderbilt was what, 173? I think Missouri's somewhere in that range too. I'm just not sure how you can pick a guy off a bad defensive team as your Defensive Player of the Year, and that would be the argument against two guys.
All right. Yeah, we didn't have Robbins on our all defensive team, and he won it from the coaches. So,
well,
I mean, Justin
Robbins
says it's criminal. I don't think it's criminal. I think it's just
no.
We had a differing opinion. Of
Robbins
what
and Hodge
value.
are. And sorry, we got a little delay. Robbins and Hodge are a little different. Robbins played 618 minutes. Hodge was closer to 1,000. So I mean, Hodge was on the floor a lot more. It's just hard for me to make a Defensive Player of the Year out of a guy that missed 6 league games, if you count Kentucky, which he missed almost all of it. And his team was awful defensively. And I know that wasn't his fault, but you know what I mean.
Here's the deal. All right. Here's my thing is, here's what you always, my response to everyone is always going to be this. Yes, if that's what you think, all I want is a hard argument against who should not be on there. Like we can't just put another, like who replaces who. That's what I'm just curious about. I'm not saying there are absolutely arguments to be made, but like I want to see those. Like, what are the arguments to replace this guy with this guy? And here's the deal too. I think what we see a lot, and fair or unfair, and everybody's going to have different opinions on this, and that's fine. But these were our opinions. We have the right to our individual awards, and then we have the right to combine those into a composite ranking. We all value different things individually. And so when you combine those together, sometimes what you get, Robbins wasn't that far off in terms of making our 5-player defensive team. But the other 5 guys just happened from our staff's composite vote to have more votes. And it's kind of what it turned into. And I think too, Chris, I think sometimes it's easier to definitely stand out as someone who blocks shots versus are the guys who are just rugged, grinded out on the ball defenders like who? Zakai Ziegler, Devo Davis, Demoy Hodge, which I think, steals obviously factor into that. Those guys, other than just steals, I don't think statistically a lot of people will dive into those numbers and say there's anything. For me, it's a lot, like it is a lot eye test based, like watching guys defend, especially if it's a guard. And guards don't get the award very often, Chris. If you really think, right? They don't. Like they don't really get the award very often. So if we were different by doing that, then so be it. But again, I'm not going to argue against anybody that has thoughts on other guys, because if we just say you're wrong and I'm right, like that's not a discussion. That's just like, I don't want to have a discussion. Come on, like this is what we do. Is why we do what we do. We want to have discussions. Like let's have a productive discussion about this stuff, and that's why we appreciate all you guys in here. So yeah, they did do coach of the year, which we saw that was Buzz Williams and Jerry Stackhouse. I mean, we said, Chris, when we did our awards, you picked Nate Oates, I picked Dennis Gates, but I mean, I said it could be any of those 4 guys, and I wouldn't be shocked. This was I think this is the year. I'm trying to think, but like there were more coach of the year candidates this year than I can remember in a single season in a good while. Like, again, I think you had 4 strong candidates. So yeah.
Gary Parrish has some pretty strong views on coach of the year and just how it is selected. And I 100% side with his opinion. I don't know that I will articulate it incredibly well, but it goes something like this. You get credit for putting your program, or you should get credit for putting your program in position year after year. And you win. That means you've done all facets of your job. What we tend to do with coach of the year is we take a coach who maybe has underachieved a little bit the year before, maybe during part of the season, and finishes strong, or has and I mean, do you get credit for? I don't understand why you get extra credit for not being really good for a while. And I'm not addressing any particular individual, but I think he's right. And that's why I voted Nate Oates. Nate Oates put his team in position in the offseason. And then they won the conference championship. They were the best team in the league, wire to wire, pretty much. And to me, that's coaching. And I get all the other stuff. If you want to argue all the other stuff in program culture, whatever, okay, fine. Have at it. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong on some of that. But to me, that is what coach of the year is. Or it is a guy like Dennis Gates, who took over a program where everybody got fired the year before, built it like that with his guys from the portal, and one really key returnee off that team. And then he gets them to third in the SEC or wherever they're seated. I guess it's fourth. But that to me is coach of the year.
All right. Justin, we appreciate the $2 super chat. I don't know if you're going to give us any more super chats because of our Liam Robbins exit from the all defensive team, but we appreciate the $2 for the super chat. Again, you can leave a super chat at the bottom, and we appreciate you guys. So
Liam Robbins is really good. And Blake, I have been banging the drum on Liam Robbins for a long time. If you go back to our midseason stuff, I said I thought he was maybe the most underrated player in the league. I was talking him up to you in our private discussions before the year. I thought he was underrated, but you only get one guy defensive player of the year. And I just think if you dive into all the stuff there, and again, some of it wasn't his fault. I didn't think that was the best pick for that.
I mean, here's the deal too. Like, were we really going that far out on a limb, picking the best defender on the best defensive team in the country?
No, who was the best? Yeah, they were best all year. And like, who were the guys that made them go? It was those two guards.
So, I mean, it's just like, yeah, I mean, I thought we were going to get more talked about for like, oh, well, that was but again, it's the SEC. The strength of the SEC this year is what? It's defense. Like, there's a lot of good defensive teams and players in this league. So, no, it's a fun discussion because there are so many. There are a lot of good defensive players in this league, and again, a lot of good defensive teams. So, I love it. I love the discussion. So, all right, let's look at some of this other stuff. Yeah, what's up? We appreciate you joining us, everyone in here. It's great. And how far do we see Missouri going in the Big Dance? I'll just tell you, Michael, my comment on this is the exact same every year. I got to see a bracket first. I can't tell you how far they can go until I see what the bracket looks like. And that's would be for anybody. Honestly, I don't care who it is. I need to see the bracket before I could probably answer that one. So we'll have that discussion next week once we have the bracket. So Justin asked Chris, can A&M pass Tennessee on the seed line with a tournament championship and Tennessee loss? I don't see that scenario happening. Personal, I don't see that at all. I don't think they can't pass Tennessee, can they?
Tennessee's the last 3 at this point, and A&M is the last 5 in what I've got. Yeah. I don't know. I don't. I mean, maybe if Tennessee got beat by South Carolina or Ole Miss and A&M wins the whole thing, but I mean, again, we saw that the
committee's not putting that
committees.
Much value.
It's well, I mean, the thing that I want to know was the way the committee treated certain teams and what they didn't get credit for doing in conference tournaments last year. Was that a one-off thing, or is that a thing that's going to pop up? Because I don't know how to answer the question without knowing how to read the committee's mind this year.
No.
Because I thought A&M did not – I thought A&M last year was legitimately a 9 seed on Selection Sunday, and they got left out of the field, but I did my analysis based on everything. But apparently they just stopped paying attention at some point. So,
by the way, I see that Hunter Johnson has joined the chat, and we will get to Hunter's comment in a second. He's got a big one about who's going to win the SEC tournament. But by the way, we forgot to mention this earlier, and I'm going to be honest. This was another guy that was right there on that line of our All SEC, the 5 guys we picked. I mean, it was hard. I mean, we honestly, Chris, in hindsight, we should have just went 7, just like we did for all the other teams. We should have did the cop out and just went 7 players, but we only went 5. Okay, so we decided to get it back to basketball and just go with 5. But Cason Wallace would have been on there. He was right there, and I cannot argue that he is right there with those other guys in terms of on-ball defense. And I messaged somebody this today. I said, you almost, I don't say you forget, but like it is, I think, easy to sometimes overlook Case and Wallace's value on defense because you're so focused on, man, that's the guy that has helped them turn around their offense. And because, playing the point and what he's done, sometimes that's not as sexy to look at it on the other side. But yeah, Case and Wallace is good. And I'm surprised Wallace was not on one of the all SEC teams, the first or second team. I was surprised by that. So,
well, to be honest, as Blake and I were getting roasted on Twitter for our picks, because if you want to get criticized, pick an awards team.
we're never
Even
doing
if you
awards
think you're
again.
dead on the money,
Never.
and people are always mad.
Never.
And we just kind of were like, okay, there's always things you overlook. Was there something that we missed here? And I think that was the one thing you brought up is like, you may not remember this, but I'm pretty sure you said, we might perhaps should have put Case and Wallace on the all.
He was right
defensive
there.
team.
I mean, but
Yeah.
here's the deal. Like I said, if you're going to do that, you got to take somebody off. And
Right.
again, individual votes too. Like we all had individual votes on the staff, and ultimately those are the guys that had the most votes. And so who am I to change that? So it is what it is. But yeah. So I mean, I think this is an interesting discussion on like steals. Yes, like there is. I think this is a debate you'll see. Like it's just the guys who do take the gambles and get the steals, which can be very efficient when you do that because that turns into offense for your team, but also just the lockdown defenders. I think both are important in this league because of how this league is played. Both are important. Guys who can take gambles, get easy points and steals. That's absolutely great, but so is the lockdown defense to prevent somebody running their offense, which for me, the perfect staple of that was like the Tennessee-Alabama type game where we saw, and I know Alabama fans won't necessarily be thrilled by that, but like that's to me one of the examples you saw this season of how big that can be just in terms of lockdown perimeter type defense. You saw that in that game. And yeah, there's just a lot of stuff like that. So, by the way,
I think the comment nailed it.
Yeah, it's good. Brett, we appreciate the $4.99 super chat here. The retro jersey collection. So let me just tell you, I had them all queued up. I don't think I'm going to get them in time for the SEC tournament. That was my plan. But in the offseason, we'll have some fun with the retro jerseys. I've been trying to compile a great collection of retro jerseys, shorts, just for SEC teams. And what we'll do is we'll tie those like into our off-season stuff, into our picks next season. Like if I miss a pick, well, I got to wear the Tennessee throwback 93 jersey or something, like stuff like that. We'll have some fun with it, but yeah, it's pretty good. So, by the way, 270 videos here. We appreciate you jumping in for the first time live. New listener, first time caller, I think is what this would be if this was Radio Land, right, Chris? Is long time listener, first time caller, but it's a new listener actually, so that doesn't apply. Where do we go to school? I can't release that information publicly, but I don't know.
Mine.
Where did you? I don't even know if I know where you went to school.
I went to a Division I school. I did.
I don't.
It wasn't in the SEC.
I could not guess this, Chris. I really couldn't.
We've never had this conversation.
Was it Belmont, Lipscomb?
Lipscomb.
Okay, I knew it was one of the two. Now that I think about it, I'm like, I knew it was one of the two. So
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Justin, still team the $2 super chat to let us know he's still hashtag Fire Stackhouse. Well, there's not as many of those as there was at one point, and I completely understand.
I like a man who sticks to his guns. I do.
There you go. And Scott's wondering, Justin, are you having a few beverages? And Justin replying, just 3. He's only had 3, so it's not like it's that big a deal. All right, Hunter has arrived, and for anyone who doesn't know, Hunter, the best. I don't know if the best is the right word. The biggest Alabama fan I know. I'm just kidding. He wants to know if I'm picking Auburn or Vanderbilt to win the SEC tournament. So, well, you know who I'm picking, pal. Hunter, how about this? I've got a surprise for you on Twitter tomorrow. I've already got it. I was thinking about it today. So tomorrow on Twitter, I've got a surprise for you. So just keep that in mind. SEC tournament starts on Wednesday, but I got something for you on Twitter tomorrow. I'll tag you in it. Don't worry. Yeah. So don't worry, pal. We're gonna get to a super chat here in a second. It'd be better for Tennessee to go home Friday so Vescovi doesn't play 40 minutes 3 straight days a week. It might be. That's not a bad idea. Look, Tennessee needs to be healthy,
thought
man.
of that, but
they should. Like, Tennessee just needs to be healthy. I hate that they haven't played
did
the
any
entire
team
season.
have more guys hurt this year than Tennessee? I mean, they had Vescovi, they had James, they had Phillips, they had.
Yeah.
You know what? We didn't talk about Rick Barnes for Coach of the Year, and I get why people might roll their eye, but man, they were pretty good all year, Blake. They had a lot of guys hurt.
It's like at some point,
I think Rick Barnes is underrated.
Yes, and first comment's going to be he's underrated, maybe, but he's not in the
He
tournament.
should have been our underrated Coach of the Year.
Oh, gosh. If we'd have handed out most underrated coach, like, this would have been – our awards were already a mess. We can't get into all that nonsense. I don't – that's a – if Tennessee loses in the first or second round this year, it's the discussion on every radio show in the state of Tennessee and nationally is going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same thing. So, yeah.
And that'll be
Sam,
unfair,
for your sake, hopefully not. I wasn't surprised T.G. Jackson on the freshman team.
No, he led a Carolina in scoring, did he not?
I wasn't surprised by that. I think it was hard for him to find a path on one of our 3 All-SEC teams, but I wasn't surprised to see him on the freshman. Yeah, I think he's fun. It's just South Carolina struggle.
Yeah,
so he is fun. So Chris Hunter with a $5 super check. Here's what he wants, Chris. So this goes. You know what this goes back to? Because Hunter messaged me after we had the big debate over the Alabama Auburn game at Neville Arena.
The wheel of randomness.
And I just, I said he doesn't listen to me. Like, Chris just doesn't listen. Here he goes. He's going to get the wheel. Chris has got props, as you can see behind him. He's got all kinds of props. So, like, I told him, like, how can you pick against Alabama at this point? But, yeah, I don't know.
Hunter, we keep these things so that we don't make the same mistakes again.
Chris is the prop guy. Can we get Hunter live in Nashville this week? I wonder if that's going to happen on Friday. I need him to get him a live appearance on this stream, because that usually gets us a lot of, that'll obviously bump up the views and all that. So, all right, let's keep going here. What SEC team do other conferences hope not to draw in the NCAA tournament? Here's my easy one, because I'm not going to take the obvious route of Alabama because they're number 1 seed, but
I think we're going to the same place.
I'm curious. Where are you going?
Well, if we take Alabama off the board, it's Texas A&M.
That's where I was going. I would not want to play Texas A&M because of how they play. I think that's the problem. But I will say this, and I've repeated this, Chris. We've talked about it. I would worry too if I'm A&M, because, as we always say, games can be called differently, and they're a team that really needs to get to the free throw line, and because they've done it all season. So I'm curious to see what kind of draw they get. And yeah, that could be interesting. So I think A&M would be at the top of my list just because of how they play. I don't think you want to play that style. It's not that I think A&M can go the furthest of the teams, but I think no one wants to play that style. And I think that's why I would put them there. So,
like, do they have a glaring weakness? I feel like on any given night they can do any. Now, they're maybe not a team that's going to hit 15 threes, but I mean, I feel like they've got offensive balance. I feel they got better defensively. They're old. They take care of the ball.
They score.
Shoot a crap ton of free throws.
Yeah. Look, here's the deal. Even if they don't get to the free throw line, they have guys that can score. Like, I mean, they have
a
talented offensive guys. Let's not act like they can't. Now, look, you can look at the numbers and say, well, they have, because they've shot this many free throws, but they still have Tyrese Radford. They still have Wade Taylor. Julius Marble's putting up points. Like, they have guys who can find ways to put up points, I think, even without the free throw
Coleman.
part.
I mean, Hayden Hafner can come off the bench and give them 10 or 12.
So I don't know, but it's an interesting one. We'll see. Tyler's back. How about Tyler?
Tyler. All right.
Tyler how old now, Tyler? When's the last time we talked? How old is the newborn?
Probably let me think.
Months?
Tyler had his child the week of Alabama-Tennessee football, if I recall.
Oh, really?
Correctly.
So it's been that long.
I believe
is that
so.
Right? Yeah, that is right. Because remember, they were talking about the goalposts going down. Sorry, Hunter. Hunter's checking out of the chat now, probably. But Yeah, I think that's right. So, man, that's 5 months,
4 months.
4 or 5 months. Yeah. So, man, that's something, huh? Wow. Congrats, Tyler. Hope it's all going well.
Hope you're getting sleep.
So
Probably by
Tyler,
now.
we had a heck of a recruiting pitch for Barnes. Come to UT and lose in the second.
Oh, Tyler.
That wasn't us, Tyler. Don't put that on us. Anyways, everybody, stop, Chris. They were supposed to be the best team in the league. You know who he's talking about. This is always a fun.
Oh, game. There was that week. That's right.
I
got that one right, by the way.
Well, oh boy. Anyways, are we? Is that what you're saying, Justin? We're the CBI of postseason awards. We may be, and that's fine. I don't think it's a coincidence. The SEC released their awards right after ours. They didn't want to,
They were supposed to release them tomorrow. Seriously.
Now, here's what happened. I think it got confused. The day and the day of the week and the actual date were different. Like, meaning one said this day, but they weren't the right one. So like you had to pick which one was it going to be. You didn't know which one. So
I think I got a bad source on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, but it is what it is. So, hey, Missouri winning the SEC tournament. Listen,
one problem
offensively.
with that.
Listen, offensively, I always say, because of how they play, if they get hot, they can beat anybody in terms of shooting. They can force a lot of steals, force a lot of turnovers, excuse me. You can never discount Missouri because of how they play. But of course, the problem that can also be part of the problem is, there can be some stretches where they give up some points. And so I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. Okay, so this is what I thought too. Like, I thought they were always released on Tuesday. So I told you, Chris. I texted Chris. I was like, they just released their awards.
So now you own it.
So I was like, I thought that they were supposed to come out tomorrow. But they came out pretty shortly after we put ours out. Again, I don't think there's like a coincidence or anything, but like I was the same. I expected them to come out tomorrow, and so I was surprised when they came out when they did. So, let's see, 4 months. Okay, Tyler with the update. 4 months. So you're right, Chris. I'm not good at math. So Clay, I mean, I don't think Vandy's just going to get screwed by the net. I think it's more than that.
No,
but it doesn't help.
Blake,
let's call it doesn't help. But
can we just say this? Stop paying attention to the team, the net number next to a team. It doesn't really matter. Net is used to approximate what a good win is, what a bad loss is, that kind of thing. It really, I don't think it matters one hill of beans if Vanderbilt is 83 in the net or 53 in the net or 43 in the net. I think the resume is what it is. It's going to be considered on that. If Vanderbilt is kept out of the tournament, what is going to be keeping Vanderbilt out of the tournament? It's going to be probably that loss to Grambling and a quad 3 loss. I think if you give Vanderbilt wins in those two spots, I think right now Vandy's in the field. I don't think an 83 net or whatever it is today is what is going to keep them out.
Yeah,
because we have seen the committee before give teams a bid at 73 and the same year keep a team out at 33.
Yeah, and people have pointed this out. That's one of the reasons why they are where they are in the net is because of those losses. But you have to go beyond just that. And we can look. We've said this before, and we won't.
It's the non-conference performance is what hurt them. They were 7-6 out of the league, and that is what will, if they don't make it, that is what will be their undoing.
Yeah, it's just part of it, and it's we'll keep having that discussion until either they get there or don't get there. But it's, for some reason, I feel like every time Vanderbilt's in this spot, it's always a fascinating case somehow. So
yeah,
but we'll see. Underrated coach of the year. Everybody, how about this, Chris? Who is Rick Barnes your pick for underrated coach of the year?
Rick Barnes. Let me find mine. I'm dead serious.
All right, let me find mine. I can't believe
here's another one that we have. Chris Jans. Chris Jans did a great job.
I mean, I know Hunter wants me to go with Bruce Pearl, but I think Yeah, I mean, it's like, what do you? There's not many left to choose from when you're picking underrated coach because we've already talked about there's 4 guys that should be in the coach of the year race. I don't think any of those are underrated.
Barnes has his team. I know the post. He has his team there every year. Nothing is more underrated than consistency. He was underrated at Texas. I know one Final Four. He went to the tournament 16 to 17 years. Do you know how hard that is to do?
I've said this years and years. It's just, again, you're judged by what you do in the tournament, fair, unfair. That's how people
Right.
judge them. And yeah, I mean, it's I know. So, um, good thing that is true. It's a good thing I didn't change my mind again, Chris, or the SEC would have, they would have their awards out before we did. So we were trying to get them out early just because, I mean, we pretty much knew where we were going on a lot of them. Now it did take some debate, but we're like, why wait? Let's just put them out. And so it took a couple times though. So
I think we had to fire someone in the graphics department first, didn't we?
yeah, if anyone wants to join the graphics department, that's a better pitch. Please let me know because my goodness, we all know I need some help.
Well, here's
What's wrong with
the
Arkansas?
question of the night.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I don't have the answer, Tucker. I have no idea. I really don't know what happened with Arkansas. So I don't know. I honestly can't explain it. I've said this many times now in the last 2 weeks or so. I don't know what's wrong with them. I mean, but here's the thing. Keep this in mind, just in the context, okay? They've lost 5 of 7. But I mean, every game other than the Tennessee game, they've been there with a shot. I mean, even the Kentucky game, I guess maybe not. Like it felt like Kentucky was in control of that most of the way. But I mean, they
Yeah.
had their shot at Alabama. Lost to A&M, Mississippi State at home. But yeah, I mean, you haven't beaten an NCAA tournament team since that win in Kentucky on February 7th. And so I mean, it's got to be frustrating for the Musbus. So
I'll give you one there, Blake. I believe we did a live stream, or did we? We did something reacting. Remember when they played Creighton and San Diego State in 2 nights? I watched a lot of basketball those couple of nights. It was, I think, Thanksgiving tournaments. And do you remember how blown away we were with how they looked when Trayvon Brazile was playing? We said, I think we did a video. I'm pretty sure we said that looks to me like a Final Four team. Now, I don't know how it would have panned out if he'd been around all year. But when they had Brazile on the back end, they were something else. And we were just going, okay, Anthony Black looks good. Brazile is a game changer on the back end. Imagine what it's going to look like when they get Nick Smith back. And they lost Brazile, and then it just, when they got Nick Smith back, it never, I mean, I shouldn't say never, there's games to go, but it just didn't end up being what we thought it would be.
Look, John brings this up, and I bring this up to say this. When I'm doing my NCAA tournament bracket each year, the teams that I usually find a way to knock, if I'm trying to figure out how do I pick to get to the point I want to get to, which is crowning the national champion, the teams that cannot shoot threes and cannot shoot free throws, I got the value of that team starts to drop for me. And Arkansas happens to be one of those teams this year that cannot do either very well. Now, they couldn't shoot the 3 last year, but what did they do really well last year, Chris? They got to the free throw line and they made their free throws. They're not doing that this year.
They never really developed an identity.
No.
Now that I think about it. No. I mean, when you say what's Arkansas, how do you describe Arkansas?
Got a lot of talent.
The last 2 years, that wasn't an issue. This year, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, got a lot of talent but it's just not. Yeah, it's in some of these teams against good teams. It's not really. It's struggling to get them over the hump right now. But we say all this, and I'm still telling you, they've got the talent to get there again. And I don't think they're going to be the last team standing like they have the last 2 years in the SEC. But you can't deny the talent's there to do it. It's just, can they get it all together? I'm not sure. So. Yeah, Tyler Ziegler loss, rough for Tennessee. We said earlier, I think he's the best defensive player on the best defensive team. And so that's to me, that's a huge loss. So now Vescovi can make up for that, I think, in a lot of ways, but can he do it all? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the deal with Vanderbilt. We talked about Hunter there. Lamont Paris underrated. Look, we said Lamont Paris is underrated in terms of if you take start to finish, they're clearly a team that got better. They were just starting further behind everybody, and it just took them a while, right? So, look, I'm in favor of naming the underrated coach of the year after Andy Kennedy. I'm all aboard that. Hunter knows when he started following my stuff, that was probably 6 or 7 years ago now. I was writing stuff about Andy Kennedy, and this is not to knock Kermit Davis. We all know I'm a Kermit Davis fan. I know what happened there at Ole Miss, but just kept saying, man, I think Kennedy was someone who never got the credit he deserved for what he did there. So I don't know. Jared thinks in the coach's vote, the Stackhouse over Gates is an absolute robbery. Well, I'm not going to be as strong on that, but you guys know what I think about Dennis Gates. I voted him as my individual awards that we put together. He was my coach of the year, but you guys aren't shocked by that. So, let's see what else we got. I'm keep scrolling down here. I mean, yeah, if Arkansas wins the conference tournament, look, to do that though, let's think about the road. They got to beat Auburn, they got to beat A&M, they got to beat Kentucky, and then probably you beat Alabama, Tennessee, or Missouri. So, if they do it though, guess where Arkansas seed's going?
Hey, I was going to say that's a good one. If Arkansas wins the whole thing, Arkansas probably goes from a 9 to
they're jumping
a 5, maybe.
They're jumping. So, here's a good point. Think about this. If you're a non-Tennessee fan and your program is where South Carolina is right now, would love to have the resume that guy has. It's just he's been at Texas, he's been at Tennessee. He's been at places where when he's got there and started winning, what do we always say, Chris? It's like South Carolina's a good tie-in. You remember me saying this a lot. What was the best thing Frank Martin did at South Carolina? His best achievement was getting them to the Final Four, right? What was the worst thing Frank Martin did at South Carolina? He got them to the Final Four.
Going to the Final Four.
They both tie together to where once you set that expectation, anything less than that is going to feel like a disappointment because you've proven you can get to that. Even if the tournament, as we say every year, is it can be a crapshoot and you get a lot of random results in a 68-team tournament. You're in and you're out. That's why we love it, because you get a lot of underdogs that win and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's just, again, that's the Barnes discussion. And speaking of Barnes, here's a great segue, Chris. We go from Rick Barnes to the one and only Steak, who has made his return here. So,
Steak might have been our first super fan.
He was one of the first. I think he was the first. I don't know. We don't want to knock Rusky. I was trying to combine them together. Rusty and Hog Barbecue. Rusky. That's a good one. Rusty, Hog Barbecue. All those initial ones. Flying Blind. That's why Arkansas not having success. It's those guys aren't in here. Like we need them to. They were kind of but Steak was there from the beginning. So shout out to Steak.
Steak's been there for us.
Shout out to Steak. So, yeah, I mean, they do need that. Just I think Nick Smith can be that guy, but it's just a matter of can he do it consistently after missing, a large part. And is he just I don't know, is he who's the best example? Here's a question for you, Chris, and I should know this, but I don't. As of today, who is I've got to look this up. Who is the leader in the SEC in 3-point shooting percentage?
I
would
be
guess Brandon Miller.
It's either might have been Miles Studi would be in there, and Richard.
Nope. Well, okay. So the SEC does it by
the problem is it's screwy. There's like 3 guys that qualify because of whatever attempts.
So the SEC, here's who qualifies. Brandon Miller's first at 40.4%. Des Moines Hodge is second, 39.6%. Vescovi's third at 36%. So. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. So, the Must Nuts, not the Must Butts. Yeah, if you've not heard the Must Nuts story,
that was so good.
Hopefully, we don't get a repeat this week. But if Arkansas wins the SEC tournament, it's not out of the question that we could have.
If we ever have him on the show, you know where I'm going.
We'll get Eric Musselman on at some point. Hunter, if you have any questions for Eric Musselman, leave them in the chat. Guarantee you, I will not ask those questions, but I know you've got some good ones waiting. If so. Yeah, we'll see. So, all right. What else do we have here? Chris has got Mississippi State going to the Final Four. Book it. All in on Mississippi State. Hey, Mississippi State's another team. If they get in, I wouldn't love to see them either because of how they
Coach
play
Jans
defense.
did it a year ago. I mean, they
Yeah,
won. They won one or
I
two.
I don't
I think they
remember.
won one and almost won a second.
They've had some close calls because they're the team. Auburn got to the Final Four, right? And they were the team that Auburn beat in the first round. It was by a point.
Yeah,
Or
there was like a
yeah,
weird inbounds play or
the
something
inbounds
that
play,
went
yeah,
wrong, or else they get
didn't work.
beat.
So yeah, I would not want to play
Good
Mississippi State
memory.
either if they're there because even if they're in the first four, we've seen first four teams get hot. So, oh, Brett, I can't answer this question, and I'm not. I come on, I don't put us on the spot with this question. We're not winning any way we answer that. So, I'll be like Jerry Seinfeld. I choose not to answer. So I choose not to run. So, SC Scout guys got the men's team destroying the women's team. So, all right. So we need to get to this, Chris, because I did put this in the teaser, and we may go about 10 more minutes here. So we don't want to keep you guys too long. I don't want to keep Chris up too late here. We've been doing stuff all day. Ole Miss and Beard. Apparently, reportedly, that happened today. Is that right?
Oh.
They met with him today. I think it was a report that came out. We said from the beginning this is a possibility, and don't be shocked if he's right there with a shot to get the job, or if he's the primary target. Because we said if you just take it from a basketball standpoint, how would he not be the primary target for not just Ole Miss but any other place that has an availability based on the basketball success? So yeah, so I'm not shocked at that. We'll see how far it gets, but I mean, at this point, Chris, would you be stunned if he's the next basketball coach at Ole Miss?
No.
I wouldn't. So I probably wouldn't. So don't know if it's gonna happen, but I wouldn't be stunned by it. Let's see. Let's keep going along here. By the way, guys, if you see our scroll at the bottom there, we are sponsored by our good friends at the Bearded Iris Brewery here in Nashville. If you're coming in for the SEC tournaments, couple locations, we'll give you more details on those as we go throughout the week leading into the start of the tournament. But be sure to check out the Bearded Iris Brewery, and we will again talk more about them as our proud sponsor here for Southeastern 14. So we should clip the Must Nuts video. Should we do that? Should I do that, Chris? Should I clip my Must Nut story and put that into a clip? I mean, surely TikTok, Instagram, all those places would love it. It would love the Must Nuts.
I think so.
Story,
maybe that needs its own video with a more dramatic retelling.
But maybe I should do it like this.
There's people out there going, what are these guys even talking about? So let's do this now. Because the story's not just the story's in the telling.
No, we're gonna save it. Okay,
come on.
That's called a teaser. We're gonna save it. I'm not telling it right now because we got more comments to get to, and we don't want to go too long here. But it's a good story. All right. If you want to go on a scavenger hunt to find it,
great.
I told it a couple times. I mean, I've told it a couple times.
It never gets old.
How about this? The tournament starts on Wednesday. I will tell it before the tournament starts because, it kind of ties in with that. So, all right, let's look at some other stuff here. Again, guys, if you're asking questions, we will get to them eventually. We just have a lot of stuff we're trying to get on here. Again, also everybody love everybody. Jackie Moon, ELE. So, Jackie Moon. How does this year's SEC rank compare to previous as a whole? It's the deepest we've ever seen.
Ever is a big word.
I think I agree. I think it's the quantity. I don't know that the quality is as good because I don't think you have as many surefire 1 through 5 seeds. But I know that's kind of a different discussion in terms of the deepest. But
you've only got 2 teams that are guaranteed 5 seeds or better.
Yeah. You got a lot of bubble teams. Really think about how many bubble teams.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when Florida was having its run, the league was pretty good then.
I would not say this is. I think
was the heyday of SEC basketball when Arkansas and Kentucky both had it going at the same time in the mid-90s.
Well, I think you'd have to look at the other teams because some of the teams I think of in that group, right? Or we're talking I'm thinking of like the Alabama teams that had Antonio McDyess and all
Yeah,
those. Hunter may
back
be
in
able to
the 80s and
bring
early 90s, those
like
were
those kind of
great
teams.
teams.
It's I mean, I don't know. It's
LSU
hard
had
to compare.
Shaq.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I would not say. Look, you're talking about the guy who I said less than a month ago that I thought maybe 4 SEC teams were getting the tournament. But again, you got to field 68, and I think you just got how many teams we talked about in the bubble discussion the past 2.5 weeks? 4 at
9.
least. I mean, in the SEC.
Oh, in the bubble discussion.
Yeah,
Sorry.
like
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
talking
yeah.
at least 4. So
Yeah.
so I think that's what you have to keep in mind with that. Anyways, so all right, we're gonna keep scooting along here. Again, if you have any other questions, comments, let us know. By the way, hit that like button, hit subscribe. That really helps us out. Super chats as well. And again, we hope hope some of you guys are making the journey to Nashville this week for the tournament. Should be a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, we've always had this discussion about the coaching roster in the SEC. If you add Chris Beard to the mix, I think there's absolutely you start to go in that territory of is this the greatest roster 1 through 14?
Okay, let me ask you, who would be really unhappy with their coaching situation if Ole Miss were to hire Chris Beard? Kentucky?
Maybe.
I'm being complete. I mean, I'm being serious.
I'm going to say this, and I don't think you should judge a coach by 1 year, but I do think there are some LSU fans who are already a little restless and wondering after this. But I think Matt McMahon's a good coach. I just think let's remember too, he basically didn't have a roster after he took the job. Now he got some guys back, but again, another situation too where I think there are other circumstances at play in terms of just being able to build that roster. So I don't know. So we'll see. It would be. I think that's worth a discussion though if they do hire him because I think that'd be an interesting topic. Any drink specials we mentioned Southeastern 14. We'll have to let you know on that at the Bearded Irish. We'll ask the fine folks there if they want to ask. We'll do some code words. We'll give you. We're not playing the clip now. You listen. I am not that talented.
I don't know if we have time to tell the clip now.
Well, we don't, but I'm also not that talented to figure out how to do that while we are live streaming this. Again, if you want to come work with us for free, we're absolutely needing the help. So if you know how to do that kind of stuff, let us know. The drunk history version of the must nut story. Can we get that? Can we here? Let me ask you this, Justin, and anyone else in here right now. Okay, I assume a lot of you are here by Twitter, but a lot of you too subscribe to our channel. If you're on Twitter and you get the must nuts hashtag trending, all right. Do you know what Eric Musselman's going to do when he sees this trending? He's going to all of a sudden wonder if somehow there is a picture out there floating around, and this guy's trying to prepare for the SEC tournament. Don't do that to Muss. Don't do that to him. But if you do and you get it trending, then I don't know what to tell you. It's funny. So by the way, my computer's doing this thing.
What video was that in?
I don't know, man. I've told him.
Was that in the We've done so.
It was the last live stream. It was the last live stream we did. Go back 2 days. There it is. Find it in there. Yeah, guys, it's in the SEC tournament preview live stream. That was like what did we do that Saturday night? I don't know, something like that. So, yeah. So, oh boy. Anyways, yeah. Somebody was it Justin? I know you left another super chat for us to power rank the SEC basketball coaches. There's no way we have time to do that right now. But how about we save that for the off season? Why don't we? We appreciate the $2, but let's put that into the off season bag of power ranking. We'll do that at some point.
That's a tough one.
It's a tough one, and I don't want to do it on the fly because you can't produce the best results there. But who are the top 3? Oh gosh, top 3 coaches that can get great talent, also win more consistently with great talent.
Cal, Barnes, Muss. I presume he means SEC.
Yeah,
because nationally that'd be Bill Self. But
also win more consistently with great talent. I'll have to think about that one too. I think some people would say Cal does not qualify, but
he wins consistently. May not be at the level the fan base wants, but
yeah. Well, I don't know. So we'll see. Let's see what else we've got here. let's see. I'm trying to see what else we've got. All right, guys, this is going to be like the 5-minute warning here. As we always say, anything that goes over an hour, no one ever wants to watch because it's just, oh, it's an hour. These guys
We're about
talking
to
SEC
leave
basketball for
that
an
one
hour.
in the mirror.
Are you kidding me? Let's see there. There you go. So we even got a emoji added to the mix. So, all right. So let's see. Who y'all got in the final? Come on, Chris. You know I'm not answering that. I don't. I have no idea. I got to see a bracket. I can't answer that. So, Justin, I think you may have asked earlier about a something like a if we're doing a bracket challenge, maybe. We may try to work on that. Oh, I think we did one last year, didn't we? I don't. It probably wasn't as organized as well. Yeah. But we also he asked about a bracket challenge earlier. I don't remember, man.
Okay, we'll come up with something.
Yeah, we'll see. So here's a good question: who's the most? We're going to go rapid fire here in the final couple minutes.
Oh,
who's the most animated?
Musselman or Buzz?
I don't think I would pick Buzz. Most animated coach.
Buzz is the most sweaty coach.
It's probably Muss or Bruce Pearl. I would go one of those two.
Yeah. I think it's Muss.
They're both pretty animated. So I'll go one of those two. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of guys that yell. I mean, let's call it what it is. So, here you go, Chris. Question about Missouri quickly. By the way, we're going to do bracketology tomorrow. We've got a new bracketology coming out tomorrow. Chris is working on that. So, yeah, we think they can. I think some people will tell you it's not possible, but we do think they can. All right, guys.
I think Missouri has got a case already to be there. Yeah.
Hunter, I'm not answering your question. I don't think we have coaches' heights the way we do player heights, and I know where you want to go with that, but I'm gonna lay off answering that because I always see your comments on Twitter about your favorite coach. All right, I think, guys, we're gonna wrap it up because we do need to let Chris get some bracketology done. We might let him sleep. I don't know. We'll have to decide on that, but we got a lot more stuff coming. So here's what we got for the rest of the week. Of course, we will be doing our thing at the SEC tournament. Chris, if you see anything you want to throw up in the chat, you can while I do kind of the go home read here. But
Spitz has made many good points tonight. This is an interesting one.
All right. Well,
I don't know if that defines it. I don't think in my mind that it's not defined coaches the way it does with others, but I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stackhouse was very animated against VCU.
That is true.
Twitter search that one.
All right. We are going to wrap this up quickly. I know I keep saying that, but we're going to get out of here. And we will talk about some other stuff in a second. I've seen you bring this up a couple times. I just understood, but he did not make it onto our.
You know what? He had a phenomenal.
He should have been on our underrated team, in all honesty, because I don't think
he should have. And you know what I discovered today? He actually ended up with a better assist to turnover ratio than Nick Honor, but no, by that much. But that shocked me.
No, I just think, again, there were other guys we put ahead of him, but I'm not going to deny that he's better than people will give him credit for at this point, I think. So
yeah,
he was a big part of their turnaround.
That's fair.
Good to see Ty here. Ty does a great job sleeping over it, with the Arkansas stuff. And again, for Ty's sake too, we hope Arkansas turns things around. Yes, we will publish a baseball video this week. Probably tomorrow. Yeah, probably tomorrow. So yeah, probably tomorrow. Okay, we're wrapping it up. We appreciate it. The Ultimate Swan. In our book, you're the Ultimate Swan. Yes, thanks for joining us. We do appreciate you guys. Again, hit that like button, hit subscribe. We're going to do game by game picks, meaning all the Thursday games will have their own video. So keep that in mind when we release kind of these individually, kind of like we did in football season for football games. They're going to be sort of quick, rapid fire, less than 10-minute videos in all the Thursday games. We'll do it for every tournament game. And then, speaking of this, Chris, we got to add this to our list of stuff. We may have to put this out on Wednesday. We got to do our all-star draft. So we got to add this to our list of stuff to do.
Yeah.
So we got our SEC basketball all-star draft coming. That'll probably be out in the next we'll do that. We'll do that on Wednesday. My guess is it'll go up on Wednesday. Yeah. So we'll do that then. But a lot of stuff on the way. Again, we've got just you can see Chris like just thinking about all the stuff we got to do in the next couple of days is it's not it is exciting.
I'm already thinking about making a list for that. I'm like, oh great, add that to the.
We got a lot to do in the next couple of days. So all right, guys, we appreciate it. Yeah, and Chris, I'll let you wrap it up.
Yeah, come see us at the Bearded Iris in Nashville. We're going to be there. What 4:30, Blake, on Wednesday, 4:30 to 5:30.
We will get more details. We'll get more details on that. We'll talk more about that. Yeah,
we will be on press row at Bridgestone Arena. I will be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Blake will be there. I think the whole tournament. I've got to attend an out of town family event, but I will be there up through the last thing on Friday night. So if you're there, give us, and you can shout at us where we can hear you. Yell at us and let us know you watch our videos. We'd love to meet a lot of you guys. Well, don't yell at us, but
don't yell at us. Don't do that.
We get that on Twitter enough.
Goodness gracious. So, yeah. Well, we do appreciate all the kind comments. We know a lot of you guys have been here all season, and we appreciate it.
Like South Carolina Scout guy. He's there for everything.
He's here for everything. We appreciate it. Yeah. Again, listen, we're asking for $2 super chats. We're not making that much. So, but yes, everything helps. We always say because we are. You guys know we started this from scratch, and hey, we're just out grinding every day like everybody else in terms of trying to do content for you guys and put out some good stuff. So we appreciate it, and yeah, this should be fun.
Hope everybody has a wonderful night. Thank you all for watching. God bless you. If you are traveling to Nashville, be safe. Again, hopefully we will get a chance to bump into some of you guys. If you are at the tournament, we'd love to say hello. Blake, any parting thoughts?
Nope. Hit subscribe.
Or did you just give your parting thoughts? Okay. Hit subscribe, hit like.
It's late. Who knows?
It is late. Stuff coming up tomorrow. I can't tell you what it is, but Blake will tell me in the morning. I know we got baseball power rankings. That'll be fun. But anyway, yeah, we've got stuff going here constantly. Again, hit the subscribe button so you catch all of it. He is Blake Lovell. I'm Chris Lee. Thanks to Bearded Iris for sponsoring our channel this month. We'll see you again soon.